Makatabanis Indigenous Bishu Totem Kuchiching Yindonji. I'm from Kuchiching, Ontario, Canada, in the Rainy River District, Fort Francis. Well, I met these people, and well, one was the chairman that's chairman here now in Bad River, and his wife passed away, so I come down to support him through that, and that day of the funeral, after the funeral, we all came over to Delphine Hurd's house and had to get together a sing-along on that. So when I got here, I seen this woman sitting in her wheelchair, and she was just beautiful. And so I didn't say nothing right then, but I made it a point to come back and travel for my job, send me through here on Highway 2 to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And so that's how I met Delphine, and that was 2015. But I seen her sitting in her chair, and I knew right there I was going to marry her, And I seen a woman sitting in a chair. I didn't even notice the chair, And I got to meet her and talk to her, and every time I came by, I'd stop in and talk to her. And finally, I start staying over here more and more and more and more, and we just got together that way. Rough times, but she straightened me out finally, and somebody had to, somebody had to do it to make me see what I was doing wrong in my own life, and she was there, and she knew everything I was doing wrong, and she'd call me out on it, and she never let me. So we had a rough time for a while. Then she sent me packing back to Canada with my clothes scattered all over the porch, and then it was a rough time, and I found out she was back in the hospital, in Duluth. So I made my way back down, and she let me talk to her, and she told me what I had to do, and I was ready to listen this time. And I did what I had to do, and she says, well, you can come back home then. So I did, and we've been together ever since. And so, yeah, but I wouldn't change that for anything, She's still here with me. Sometimes it gets hard, but I talk to her, and she talks to me, listens, and I get through it. And that's and she said one time, because I was helping her with her bandages and that, and she didn't want me to see her sores or her leg, And so I sat down and I talked to her, and I said to her, with me, you never have to be ashamed of what you're going through. I'll be here to help you. And I won't leave you. And a lot of things happened in my family. I was losing nephews and nieces, but I wouldn't leave her. She told me, "You go and take care. Look after your family." And I said, "No, I'm not gonna leave you. You're my wife, and and that's the way it was." So I stayed, and I helped at everything I could that she had to do. Go lose her other leg, and I was with her all through it. And that's the first time in my life I ever made a promise, gave my word to a woman, and kept it. So I can be really proud of that. So that's about it for, me and Delphine, and the rest is just kind of history with, the people she helped, the cooking she did, and I was part of that. I could help. I could, I couldn't cook, but I could deliver, and so that's basically how I got here. But I could tell the cougar story, but I think I told it enough. Yeah, but I still love that story.
What's this cougar story?
Yeah?
What's your cougar story?
Well, people ask me where I was from. And I tell them from Canada, and my government sent me cougar hunting down here. And we got here after the funeral, and I seen this woman sitting in a wheelchair. I said to myself, well, that's the cougar I want, and we've been together ever since. I married the cougar, and took a long time, but after she had her second leg amputated, I just says to her, well, Del, we might as well just do it. And she looks at me and she says, do what? And I said, well, we might as well get married. And she looks at me and she hummed and hawed, and she says, oh, well, she says, I can't drag my feet anymore, so let's get married. So we did that. And that was, one of the best days of my life. So, yeah, and I just enjoyed every part of her. I didn't agree with everything she done, but I learned to listen, And most of the time, everything she said, everything was the right track. So I guess it worked out both ways, like her family, my family, they're Now we're all one family, kind of, because of Delphine. And it's kind of hard to sit here in this house. But there's a picture right up there of us. And she's looking right at me. And I can talk to her anytime, any place, even at the casino, and ask her why I'm not winning. And she's still with me. I still got a little ways to go, but I'll get there with her help. Well, one time, Sand Bay was... I wasn't always part of the community. The community was kind of separated, and we were considered Métis people because my grandfather, my dad wasn't in treaty. And when they married my grandmother's, who was in treaty at the time, they were taken out of treaty. It was okay for a man to marry a woman, a white woman, whatever, and she would be in treaty. But it wasn't okay for a woman to marry a white or a half-breed. And that's what my grandfather and my dad were considered as half-breeds. And in the 50s, they flooded Sand Bay, and my mother and them, they lived on, it was leased land. It was leased to the lumber mill. And so we got to live where the workers lived. But by the time we got there, they took all the electricity out. They had electricity from the mill. And they took all the electricity out, and so we were back to lamps and batteries and hauling water. And so every time we had a shower, or not a shower, but a bath, we had to haul the water up from the lake, and everybody in the house had a shower in the one big tub. So everybody wanted to be first. Yeah, but so, like my mother used to tell me stories when they flooded. They flooded the 5 Mile, and everything was underwater. And even the train tracks were underwater. And if you had to walk to the 5 Mile or anywhere, and the road was covered with water too, and so there was snakes all over the place as you walk around with, gardener snakes, and I get off sometimes, and I get carried away. What was that question again?
The history of the flooding at Sand Bay, the trauma it put to the community.
Oh yeah, it was back then we were a small community. Maybe there was 300 people on our reserve, and if you worked in the mill, you got paid once a month. So people would go grocery shopping, And that shopping had to last for a month because, again, too, everybody drank back there, and drinking would take up a lot of the money that should have went on food. And, so it was rough. It was, but we had, and we had our good times too. Saturday night was the Grand Ole Opry, and everybody get around the radio and listen to the Grand Ole Opry. That was a family thing. And that was nice when they weren't drinking, because sometimes when they were drinking, they wouldn't be home late. Wouldn't be home until late. So me and my sister Sharon, we were the youngest, and the other ones were working. My brother would be gone somewhere. He was a little older. So we'd be stuck in this old house by ourselves, big old house, and there was a lot of things happening, spiritual things that used to scare the heck out of us. We used to see kind of orbs of people walking around, and because it was the Native people buried their dead anywhere they would travel. If somebody died on a way by canoe, they just pull up on land and bury him somewhere. So the water wouldn't get at them high enough to keep them away from the water table. So there was a lot of things that you could see. People would see strange things, and no, I think it was just our ancestors walking around and just letting people know that